The Outlast Trials is meant to be a cooperative horror game, and it can be scary at times, but in reality, it's an experience in professional buffoonery. A team of tortured and scarred science experiments performing tasks, shooting up drugs, running marathons through torture chambers, and committing acts that violate almost every human right and ethics guideline. From delivering children to a priest's pedomobile, to performing grievous bodily harm to other trial victims, like sawing their legs off, or ripping off all of their limbs. And after all that, you and your other trial victims can return to the hub and relax with some arm wrestling or chess, and enjoy the peace before you face your next round of horrors. This game is dark, brutal, gory, yet also silly and oh so much fun. Understanding the premise of Outlast Trials is important, as it's not the same as typical horror experiences. You play as a bad person that did bad things, and signed up for a program to make you better. Except that program is actually part torture and part brain reprogramming under the instruct of Dr. Murkoff. Once your character is created, you are placed into the facility, and can choose from one of the many trials to work towards your rehabilitation. These trials involve you doing sometimes mundane, but for the most part, horrible things to non-player subjects. The essence and objective is desensitization, and MK Ultra style rewiring of your brain. Murkoff wants you to be reborn, ignorant of normal people's ethics and virtues, and instead, be willing to do anything they ask. And this works brilliantly. The first time me and my friend sawed someone's leg off in a minigame objective, we felt disgusted. This drawn out pain and suffering, screams of agony, it felt so viscerally uncomfortable to sit through, including me having to mentally debate the ethics of this game. But after going through all the various horrors, it becomes just another day at the torture and horror factory. These trials don't involve you going into a real-world location and hurting real people, like a church to harass the nuns and students, but instead simulated environments in a giant underground network. The first set of trials theming is a police station, and once you leave the shuttle to enter the level, you see stage lights above, plasterboard construction, mannequins dressed in a variety of outfits, and basically everything looking like a movie set. This simulation creates dissonance. But that leads into the theme, because as previously stated, this is just a fucked up MK Ultra program. They don't care about your mental well-being, just the results. So how do we rewire our brains to become desensitized agents? Through brutality, of course. The first mission you'll most likely do is kill the snitch, and that is a great display of this game's loop.
What is true? There is a snitch inside the prison, preparing to testify against our truth. Kill the snitch, and we will let you out.
Spawning outside the police station, you navigate through trapped doors, angry enemies, and you make your way to the security room. Once there, you hit a button to open up all the cell doors, and are greeted by your first prime asset. Each set of themed levels has one unique big bad enemy, a prime asset. The police station's is Coil, a racist, sexist, homophobic jail warden that wants to do unspeakable things to you when he gets you.
Rabbit on me, I'll fuck you to death! That is assault! I'm gonna rip you something fuckable for this! People that loiter around these parts tend to get fucked to death.
Coil patrols this trial, hurling insults, and if you get too close, electrocutes the living shit out of you. Alongside the main prime asset, there are other slightly less scary, but still very dangerous enemies. These variable ones are called X-Pops. Now you can't fight them back directly, but you do have a tool that's incredibly important. Brick. Seriously, I cannot describe how strangely satisfying it is to wallop the ever-loving fuck out of an enemy in this game with a brick or a bottle. You feel the power dynamic shift for a beautiful, fleeting moment. The predator is approaching you, and in a last line of defense, with all your might, you throw that bottle. Instant dopamine and satisfaction as the enemy clutches its head in pain. This moment of joy is disturbed almost instantly, as they take a moment to shrug off the hit, just to then resume chasing your ass down that corridor. But back to the main mission. With Coil introduced, you're tasked with moving the snitch to the electrocution chamber, but you're then faced with some roadblocks. Keys for doors have been hidden inside corpses around the level. Find the symbol on the door and look for the matching corpse. Then ever so gently, stick your entire arm into their stomach and root around their guts like a fucking piñata. This game's gore is brutal. As previously mentioned, you'll be sawing limbs, removing guts, and doing a lot of incredibly visceral torture. This game is also not ashamed to put many instances of some nasty looking cocks and tits in your face. In the options, you can censor the penor, but you cannot censor the bloody brutality of the rest of this game. Once you find the keys, you and your team work together to kite the enemies around, whilst the other teammates electrocute a man so violently you can almost smell the burning hair. With the snitch successfully punished, you all make a mad dash back to the entrance tunnel. And hey presto, you just got mentally scarred from a video game, Dr. Murkov got the test results he wanted, and you are left to sit and think about the consequences of your actions. And what trial and subsequent fucked up thing you'll be doing next. Because this game has a lot of content, like a surprising amount. It was originally in early access in 2023 and was fully released in 2024. And even after the full release, the developers are putting out content updates frequently. The community support the developers give feed back into the community being so supportive of the developers. It's pretty rare to see a community that loves their developers like this game, and it's a really nice sight to see. But if it was just torture and shenanigans, then this video would be over by now. But we've got to go over the additional systems that add depth to your character, the progression, since this is a live service, and the nature of a horror game being a thin line between horror experience and gamified dopamine generator. Each mission you complete gets you 2 unlock tokens, a variable amount of XP, and some catalog stamps. Unlock tokens are used to get new rigs, new perks, and new prescriptions. XP is for account levels that reward character cosmetics and decorations for your bedroom, and catalog stamps are for the Helldivers style battle pass. First up is rigs, and the most important thing. We'll call them your character's archetype. The X-ray rig lets you see enemies and items through walls. The stun rig lets you stun enemies and break traps. The smoke rig is great for setting traps if you're being chased. The jammer rig lets you remove locks and disable traps. The health rig comes in clutch with heals for you, and when upgraded, slows nearby enemies. And the barricade rig lets you block doors, and is frankly just the least used rig in the game. Each rig has pros and cons to them, and helps lean into a specific playstyle. They all have their own set of upgrades. Like the jammer originally disabling traps, but once upgraded, makes the traps activate on enemies' movement instead of yours. The jammer is my favourite for that reason, but also for opening locked doors and crates without the need for a lockpick. Inventory management is essential, so freeing up a slot for more heals or bottles to throw is a balancing act I really enjoy. Once you've got a rig you like, you'll want to start working on prescriptions. These are passive upgrades, and there is a lot of them. Some are basic, like more stamina or faster regen. Some are more impactful, like a slide that can be used to make a tactical or cool escape under blockages. And just flat out strong buffs, like getting an extra inventory slot or extending your night vision's duration. And this is where one of my few complaints lie. I just feel like they're too strong. You barely worry about night vision batteries once you have the upgrade, but before, the lack of duration keeps gameplay tense. Conserving battery and remembering where you saw battery spawns makes you feel more engaged in the experience. Whereas once it's upgraded, you don't have to recharge much at all unless the mission is a pretty long one. Outlast Trials is a scary game for the first few hours, but then the desensitization kicks in, added with understanding enemy pathing and logic, and the icing on the lack of fear is the upgrades that let you make it markedly easier. This strange metaphor cake is somehow given another layer of fear reduction and player power with actual perks you can choose on top of the other systems, called amps. Split into 3 categories, and you're only able to have 1 from each category active each time. They affect tools, skills, and medicine. As an example, you can gain another additional inventory slot, the ability to avoid death on 1 HP every 5 minutes, and the ability to negate an enemy's grab every 100 seconds. This is ridiculously powerful. But what about the ability to regen night vision battery, negating finding refills? Or a self-revive once per mission, that you can then stack with the self-revive passive the jammer rig already gives once upgraded. You can see that the essence of this being a video game designed for fun and dopamine takes away from the survival horror setting and theme. Now I bring this dichotomy up to make people aware, because I think this game does a great job of being fun, whilst being thematically scary or horror-like. You won't be scared constantly once you learn the game, but this game can still scare you with unexpected jump scares, enemy placement, and overall uncomfortability with the setting. I just think it's important people know that this is a game's game first, and not a horror experience that leaves you with stained underwear each time. I mean, come on. You heard me earlier talk about how much I love throwing bottles at enemies, and I think my favourite enemy to throw things at is Mother Gooseberry, because then she talks to her hand puppet, Dr. Futterman, and the back and forth and silly horrific voices is just so good. But if I was alone throwing bottles, not for the sake of footage, I would enjoy it less. I have a duo partner I play with, but if he's not around, I always queue into games with random players, because the social element of this game is so important to my enjoyment. When I tried to play this game solo, I found myself min-maxing, trying to get optimal grades and do the tasks as efficiently as possible, and getting annoyed at myself when I made a mistake or an enemy jumped me unexpectedly. Whereas when I'm in a group, I'm playing for the sake of just playing, offering up my last supply to someone that might need it more than me, running to help a random that's screaming in terror. That's where a good chunk of my fun comes from. Be it climbing mountains with the Discord and Peak, gathering junk in Lethal Company, or just me and the boys role-playing as disposable soldiers in a big game of Arma Reforger. I love miscellaneous cooperation, and whilst this game's tone and progression are juxtaposed with each other, I still really enjoy both aspects. I can complain about the dissonance, but that hasn't stopped me playing this game so much more than I thought I would. I haven't even talked about how cool the enemy characters and their backstories are in this game, or how prestiging your character has a super interesting gameplay and world implication. Or, I've not even gone on another tirade about how much I love throwing bottles. I highly recommend this to anyone that wants a horror game, a co-op game, or just a game that is straight up fun. If you can get it for a tenner on sale like I did, then that is a fucking steal, and you should grab it. Fuck that, no, buy 3 more copies for your friends so you can all play together, because the social aspect is phenomenal. This game respects your time and your wallet. I didn't feel the need to fully talk about it, but the Battle Pass system is fair and the ideal way to do it. Once you go through the introductory free pass, you'll get enough currency to purchase a paid battle pass, and if you complete that, you'll have enough to buy the next one, and so on and so forth. I've been working my way through collecting all the skins and cosmetics, and acting like I won't change my skin away from the Spooky Clown Alliance. That can't happen. Scary clowns stick together. But I've decorated my room nice for the holiday season, and I just have to try my best to ignore the feeling that that little fucking elf is spying on me. For now, that's all from me though. Thank you for watching. Unless you guys want to hear me talk about how much I love throwing bricks at people. No, okay, alright, I'll just...